this is Danielle reporting live from Hauturely, and I'm here with the talented designer Frederick Anderson. This is New York Fashion Week after the show. Hi Frederick, so nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you guys. Welcome to my home.
Thank you for having us. Beautiful, amazing home. So please take me through the process from conception to birth of your Spring 2021 collection.
Yeah, wow. I mean, well, this year, do we need to even say 2020? I mean, it's just crazy. So I kind of named the collection Hindsight is 2020 because of and it's interesting, that happened around June or July when all of this upheaval happened with the racial inequality and everything, and I started thinking back on the idea that in the late 60s and early 70s, before our time, we saw all these recollections of these people, our forefathers and parents and people who stood up and did these wonderful things, and we expected change, and we came through a process thinking change had happened and that it really hadn't. So, and we, ushered through by the crazy man in the White House, we have had to revisit it again. And so I started thinking about the idea that, wouldn't it be wonderful that this time it actually sticks and we actually move forward? And the idea of taking inspiration from some shapes from the late 60s, early 70s and moving them forward. And thinking forward, but thinking we always have to learn from our past. So, and I think the two together make a kind of interesting story, So that's what I it's funny because if you go through these processes, and especially when we're spending this much time, sitting at home. I mean, we've spent a lot of time sitting at home, especially designers, because we were stopped in the water. We were for high end, especially because all the stores were closed. So we were just, all my trunk shows were canceled, everything. So there was a lot of quiet time. And thoughtfulness, and so I think there's a time coming that's going to be wonderful, because I think people have realized they need to reconnect with their clients, and they need to make clothing that actually makes sense, and be socially relevant, and be out there and be part of the story, and march a little bit.
Or a lot.
Exactly. We did it all.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me to my next question.
Yeah.
How, in your opinion, how has COVID changed the fashion industry?
Well, it's obvious. Look who just won, best menswear designer. Hello, welcome. I think that it just awoken something where, where people are just hopefully a little bit more careful about the thought process of who they embrace and the thought process in diversity. And what I mean by that is just that we don't need a helping hand. We need an open door. There's a difference. I don't need anyone to help me, I know how to design, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I just need to have the doors open and I can do the rest. But if you close the door before we ever get started, that's the issue.
Yes.
And I think so, the great thing is right now there's some open doors and people are opening some passageways to get through. And I'm hoping that everyone runs and comes through. I've been looking at the roster on Fashion 360 and I'm so excited. I look at it and I get a little giddiness in my soul, just the idea that not everyone's going to make it, of course,
right,
but that all these people stood up and stepped forward and said, I'm going to say something. So not all of it's valid, as we know, just like it is in every community. The white community, there are a lot of designers that aren't valid either. In the Asian community, everything.
Yeah.
So we need to, not everyone because they're black is good, and not everyone because they're white is good. We just need to stand up on our own volition and our own accomplishments and be able to present forward. And I keep saying, I had Reuters earlier today, and I told them, I said, wouldn't it be great for us just to be called designers and not have to worry about this shit? That I have to even have this thought in my head after everything else we have to deal with everyone else has to deal with in life.
Yeah.
To have to think about that in my head sometimes is kind of crazy. I'll be glad for the moment when that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and so would I, as a
a blessing.
As a fashion editor and someone, in the fashion industry as
Right.
well, just all across the board. I think that we just need, I thank God that it is changing, but I'm looking forward to the ultimate change.
The relaxation of the idea that we can just talk about clothing. Have a conversation about clothing and our points of view and not have to bring up the idea of where we came from.
Right.
I actually cringe when someone starts bringing up where I came from. you know, and start to bring, because I know where they're headed. And I'm always like, well, what are you trying to say?
Right.
You know, what are you going for? Just tell me, open up. I mean, it's all good. All good, all good. I'm open. It's all good. But I don't think that has anything to do with clothing.
Right.
So.
It's okay. It's okay. So, how do you want a woman to feel when they're wearing one of your clothes or one of your pieces?
I want them to feel like themselves. I want them to put my clothing on and think that, you know what, I feel like a better version of myself. I want people to bring to my clothing their own personality. I'm not there to create a costume. I'm there to fit into your life. So I'm thinking about that all the time. I'm thinking about the end user, of what she's doing, where she's going, how she lives her life. Like, you know, what is she doing in my clothing? Where is she, you know, what are the needs? And so, you know, like this season, it's all about a little bit of comfort. I mean, I'm not comfortable. I don't think my clothing is meant to be like, you know, athletic wear or lounge wear. That's not my gig. There are other people who do that. I don't step in their lane. Stay out of mine. But I do believe that there is a little bit of comfort and ease that is necessary this season. And there's a little bit of the idea that if we're not going to be going out in the world and in such huge statements, what do those statements look like? Because if it's going to be statements that we do for ourselves and things we do at home and things, you know, we're going to be entertaining at home, the dinners are going to be smaller, they're not going to be like huge black ties. But there may be a fabulous night that you want to dress up. So what does that all look like? So that's what I played with this season, and that's how I've been thinking in my mind.
Beautiful, wonderful. So what's next for Frederick Anderson and your brand, who you are, and the expansion? Do you want to expand?
Absolutely.
Into home goods maybe, or, you know, what else? Tell us.
Men's is next. Yeah, men's hopefully for next. I mean, I was kind of teasing with the idea of doing men's this season, but obviously this is not the season.
Right.
So hopefully, you know, that would be just a lot. That would be a lot. But hopefully for fall. Hopefully fall or spring next year. I mean, I've been talking about it a lot, and I have everyone that always emails me and texts me saying, it's obvious you need to be doing men's.
Right.
And I'm like, I know this, but like there has to be an end consumer. I don't do things without knowing there's a consumer, because I don't believe in making clothing. We don't need anything else in this world.
Correct.
There's too much of everything. We toss too much away. You know, I believe in the idea that if like I make something, it needs to have a reason to be. It needs to have an end user. Someone needs to put it on. They need to wear it. There needs to be an idea. Otherwise, it's just vanity.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a vanity collection, and I don't like people who do vanity collections, which is just their ego. I think there has to be a reason why you do it. So one, you know, and I do have a client, and obviously it starts with me, but it grows outside of that, and you have to obviously think of how other people perceive you and how they would perceive dressing in your style. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like, you know, that's coming together. And I already have a great partner that's going to help me, so I'm on. It's coming. It's coming. God's bringing it to me, but when it's ready, He'll like tell me, okay, do it. It'll happen.
Well, that's amazing, and I can't wait to see it. And I know we can't wait to see your next collection.
Oh, yeah,
thank you so much for
You're
having
so
us
welcome.
today. I'm Danielle with Hauturely, and this is New York Fashion Week After the Show.